My grandmother was poor. She was born during World War I, the fifth of 6 children. At the age of 16, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis. The disease was a leading cause of death at the time, especially among the less well-off. Her mother and grandfather succumbed, but my grandmother survived. She lived, to her amazement, to be 92. The disease left her permanently disabled, though, and in need of continual hospitalization. She cried when I got my tuberculosis vaccine, knowing I wouldn't have to suffer in the manner that she did. My grandmother had little formal education or professional training. She was at the top of her class until she had to drop out of school. Her passion for learning remained total and complete until the end. She collected dictionaries and encyclopedias from estate sales and second-hand stores, so she'd never be ignorant of a word or a fact. She studied multiple foreign languages for fun. Although she never got around to learning French herself, she was able to help me with my French homework by extrapolating from her knowledge of other languages and the principles of etymology. She studiously read the newspaper every day, took notes, and called me to discuss. When I lived in a different time zone as a graduate student, she took pleasure in being able to phone me at 3 a.m., her time, when she had the urge to talk about international politics or whatever she had just heard on the BBC World Service. There's no mystery why she was poor. She was every bit as smart, curious, and entrepreneurial as anybody else in the family. She was poor because she didn't have any money. She didn't have any money because her parents were themselves struggling, and because her disability made her mostly unable to work. A limited social welfare net meant that my mother, born during the next World War, grew up intermittently homeless when she wasn't in the foster care system. Nor is it a mystery what my grandmother would have needed to alleviate her poverty, to live a better life, and to provide for her daughter. She needed money for food, shelter, and her child's education. With more money, their quality of life would have been vastly improved. In a legendary exchange, F. Scott Fitzgerald said, "The rich are different." Ernest Hemingway replied, "Yes, they have more money." The exchange never actually took place, but never mind. The principle applies to my grandmother. What she lacked, above all, was money. Not better character, morals, or genes. There's no knowing what she could have accomplished if she hadn't been so poor for so long. As it happens, the same applies to the economic approach to poverty. Poverty and destitution have been central concerns of economics since the very beginning. The economic approach to poverty is, basically, to give poor people money. If it isn't money, it's other kind of resources and opportunities. The economic approach starts from the assumption that poor people are fundamentally the same as everybody else, except for that one thing. Their problem is not ultimately bad character, bad morals, or bad genes. Economists believe the poor are about as good as managing money as everyone else, neither better nor worse. Give poor people money, resources, and opportunity, and the problem of poverty will be solved. This chapter describes the economic approach to poverty. I'll talk about what it is, where it comes from, and what evidence supports it. We'll learn how economists study it with the methodology of the randomized controlled trial. We'll see that economics is more responsive to scientific developments and to empirical evidence than many people think. We'll also learn why economics is slurred as the dismal science. I'm pretty sure those who use the term, often progressive, skeptical of economics, have no idea where it comes from. As I'll explain, the origin of the term could not be more racist. It was used to slam economists who had teamed up with moral reformers to abolish slavery. Pro-slavery apologists claimed black people were fundamentally inferior and consequently fit to live only under a beneficent whip. Apologists hated economists for arguing that all humans were fundamentally equal and therefore equally deserving of freedom and prosperity. The economic approach to poverty gives us a window into the soul of economics, what it is and what it tries to accomplish. In historical context, the economic approach to poverty helps us see why it's not an oxymoron to call economics a moral science.